The Prime Minister responds to claims of NHI death panels. This as union leaders claim the country is in the dark on NHI. The Prime Minister also speaks out on the nation's crime rate, and urban renewal panelists discuss pressing issues affecting the nation. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Christie today dubbed talks of government death panels as nonsense. He was responding to a leaked PricewaterhouseCoopers report in today's Nassau Guardian, which explained how a government-appointed body would determine who would be treated for catastrophic diseases under national health insurance. Christie told a group of accountants today that to him it's absolute nonsense. Kyle Joaquin reports.
This morning when I woke up, I saw death panel. That's in the front page of one of the newspapers. Absolute nonsense.
And that's how Prime Minister Christie described talks of a panel which would have to make the decision of who gets treatment for deadly diseases under the government's proposed national health insurance scheme. It was revealed in the Nassau Guardian that a report completed back in May by PricewaterhouseCoopers showed that the accounting firm is critical of several findings of Sanagest International's report on national health insurance. The PwC report noted a potential issue with a committee or panel tasked with deciding who gets certain treatment. The report said, a committee or expert panel tasked with deciding who receives and who does not receive treatment can be viewed as biased if its protocols are not open and transparent. It continued, elected officials can expect to hear from constituents who are denied timely access. And today, while addressing attendees of the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants Accountants Week, Christie went into detail explaining, according to his recollection, the last time there was any sort of a death panel in the country. He said it was over dialysis treatment during the time when he served as Minister of Health.
This was in 1978. They said, we have to make a decision. We said, what decision? Decision on who is going to go on the machine and who's going to die. I say, what? Now, why would a politician, especially a young one like me at the time, have such an extraordinary challenge placed upon him? But long story short, someone who I knew well, whose family I knew well, had to be left behind in favor of a young lady from Harbor Island who was 14 or 15, and the other one had to die.
And he said that was the last time a cabinet minister had to make a decision as such, as he then handed the responsibility over to a committee headed by a priest. And since then, the dialysis unit at the Princess Margaret Hospital has become more robust. Now, when it comes to concerns surrounding NHI and the possibility of a new tax, Christie stressed that the government is responsible and won't put more on the country than it can bear.
And so that you know, I don't have the concern about whether in January I'm introducing a benefits package. That seems to be the concern of the insurance industry. We're going to phase it in. We're going to have our accountants be very clear in what it's going to cost. And we're not going to put on the country what the country cannot bear. That's what accountants do for us.
Sanagest International had identified 3 packages of health insurance benefits. A vital package which would cost $362 million, a core package which would cost $504 million, and the expanded package which would cost $632 million per year. PwC was retained by the government to undertake a comprehensive review of 2 questions that arose from the Sanagest report essential to the fundamental implementation of national health insurance, one of which is the cost of NHI. In that report, PwC stressed the potential that NHI, as it is presently being considered, could seriously destabilize the public and private sectors of the country's healthcare system. And it highlighted a lack of private involvement, saying, to date, there has been limited stakeholder engagement regarding the development of NHI. That report, although completed 6 months ago and paid for by taxpayers, has not yet been released. Bahamas Chamber of Commerce Chairman Gowan Bowe, who is also a partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers, didn't wish to go into detail on the report, but he did say now is the time for government to speak to it, saying there is a serious breakdown of communication.
And I think now is the time that the government has to take it on its shoulders, that whilst it is criticism, take it as the constructive side of it and say, well, how do we allay those concerns by demonstrating this is the governance structure, this is the project plan, these are the things that have to be done, and this is the timelines we are working towards.
50% of the Bahamian population is covered by private insurance, and it is through implementing NHI beginning January 1st, the government hopes to cover the entire population. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, the entire country is in the dark when it comes to NHI, according to President of the National Congress of Trade Unions, John Pinder. He said today, with NHI implementation less than 2 months away, the union has no idea what the Christie administration is proposing and is still awaiting details and trying to meet with government on the matter.
But I think the whole country's in the dark on it because there's no official report. No official report has been given to the unions, and no official report has been issued in the press. I can only say this: they are saying that there will be a registration process that will begin in January. We don't know what we're registering for. That's the best I can answer. I don't know what we're registering for.
Admitting he has his concerns about NHI, Pinder said he and the union still have no idea what government's proposed plan is or how exactly it will work. Pinder today also put his support behind PricewaterhouseCoopers' report on NHI, dubbing it on target and explaining some of the concerns outlined in that report are shared by the union.
I didn't see the report. I heard some things in the news media this morning as relates to Pricewaterhouse opinion of this whole thing. And certainly I support the expertise at Pricewaterhouse, and I believe that they are on target because some of the things that they alluded to is some of the concerns that we have as to even the cost factor involved.
Pinder said he's heard reports of a potential 2% payroll tax as a means to help fund NHI, but that is unconfirmed. The Prime Minister has said implementing a new tax is possible, but he did not say what kind of tax government is considering or the proposed rate of taxation, only stressing government does not intend to do anything to disrupt the economy. Pinder said his union has made recommendations to government on NHI, including how they believe it can be funded, but he claims the union has yet to hear anything back from the key players involved.
That says to me that there's a lack of consultation. Consultation can be you make a decision, tell me what the decision is. I would expect for there to be better consultation.
The private insurance sector has also been critical of government for what it says is inadequate consultation. However, Pinder said the union is prepared to resubmit its recommendations, which will include a few new ones. Among them, a way to help fund the universal health care scheme by taking advantage of natural resources.
Again, we cannot label the fact that we must tap into our natural resources rather than always looking at taxing individual citizens. If we can raise sufficient funds from our national resources, again, we speak to aragonite, the salt, and the oil that is believed to be in our grounds. Maybe the government needs to move on one or two of these permits and cause there to be some new revenue streams coming into our country.
Well, crime is an issue that must be dealt with and cannot be allowed to get worse, according to Prime Minister Christie. Crime was one of a number of topics he touched on today while addressing the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants.
We don't have the right to allow young Bahamians to kill each other for whatever reason. It just mustn't happen.
With 133 murders so far this year, the government has been criticized for its handling of crime, especially given its criticisms of the former F&M government over the issue. Christie said he spoke with the Commissioner of Police this past Friday and told him how they must seriously deal with crime because the current situation can't go on much longer.
And my wife, my daughter, my son, or yours could be driving on the streets of New Providence. And I know there's some things that are so difficult to predict. But this country cannot and must not allow what is happening to happen much longer.
Christie once again stressed that the government will, in the next few weeks, take some extensive measures in their crime-fighting strategy, which could impact people's freedom of movement.
To have this wanton display of disregard for human existence, this extraordinary degree of uncivilized behavior, not a killing field in the Bahamas. And I hope in the coming weeks you'll see the evidence of which I'm talking about.
In other news, F&M founding father Maurice Moore sent a strong message to those F&Ms who may take issue with the leadership of Dr. Hubert Minnis. Shape up or ship out. Speaking at a meeting in Grand Bahama to welcome Bamboo Town MP Renwar Wells and Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Andre Rollins to the opposition party, Moore said he will no longer tolerate anyone seeking to undermine Minnis's leadership. He told a packed room of F&M supporters there is no one person in this organization that has the right to challenge the decision of the party convention, whether you are an elected member of parliament or you are an elected member of this party. Your convention has spoken. He said, quote, "I am annoyed, very annoyed, that we have members in this party who have the gumption after your convention has spoken for them to take their backside outside and try to tear down the leadership of this party. Stop it right now. Otherwise, the National Council of this party will have to speak." Moore's words come amid ongoing tensions in the party over its current leadership and over Minnis's recent decision to invite Wells and Rollins to join the party.